Welcome to Beyond Leading, the podcast that cuts through the noise to get real about leadership, team dynamics, personal growth, and the messy, brilliant reality of work, life, and everything in between. Each episode brings grounded insights, sharp truths, and honest conversations from experienced coaches and leaders as we explore what it really takes to lead well today. We don't deal in one-size-fits-all answers. We spark ideas, offer grounded perspective, and create space for you to work out what fits your world. And every episode comes with a free fact sheet to help you take the ideas further. Just use the link in the show notes or visit beyond-leading.captivate.fm. Before you get into planning for 2026, before the targets, the goals, the lists, I want to slow things down for a moment. Because a lot of leaders I'm speaking to right now are tired. Motivation has taken a knock. The edge has dulled a bit. Not because they don't care, but because they've been carrying pressure for a long time. Same conversations, same issues, same weight. Pressure hasn't gone away. It's just become the background noise. So yes, the new year matters, and hopefully the break has given you a bit of a breathing space. But motivation doesn't come back just because the calendar flips or you've had some time off. It comes back when leaders can think clearly again. When they reconnect with what they're actually trying to do and why. And that's what this episode is about. Because 2026 doesn't need you to grind harder. It needs you to lead with clarity and let the energy come back with purpose. And for me, that clarity didn't come from doing more. It came from stopping, properly stopping for the first time in a while. Over the past few months, I've had to take a proper pause myself. Not a tidy, planned pause. It was the kind where your body and your head both said, stop for a minute. At first, I resisted it. There was a strong pull to keep going, to stay useful, to stay productive, to keep proving something. But once things slowed down, something important happened. I could think again. I could see how often decisions were being shaped by pressure rather than judgment. How being busy had quietly replaced being deliberate. And something else became obvious. Clarity is motivating. Confusion is exhausting. Just recently, I spent an hour in conversation with a leader who said to me at the end, Alec, I actually feel motivated again. And this wasn't because we'd set big goals, not because I told them what to do, simply because they had space to think, to talk honestly, and to reconnect with what matters. That's not a coincidence. That's what pausing properly does. Pausing isn't stepping away from leadership. It's often where leadership and motivation quietly comes back online. And once you've experienced that clarity yourself, you start to see just how much it affects the people around you. Leadership, at its simplest, is about direction. When leaders are unclear, teams feel it immediately. People hesitate. They second guess. They wait. Over time, though, that drains motivation, even in good, capable people. But when thinking is clear, direction becomes clear too. People know what matters. They feel listened to. They start taking ownership again. Trust builds. Disagreements become more honest and less personal. Accountability shows up without you forcing it. The strongest teams I work with aren't running on adrenaline. They're running on alignment. Collective intelligence, people pulling in the same direction. It's what I call a green arrow team. And being part of one gives people their drive back. And that's often the moment leaders realize something important. The issue isn't effort, it's that the right questions haven't been asked. Most leaders and business owners I work with already know something needs to change. They don't need more noise. They don't need another initiative. What they're missing is space. Space to ask the questions that actually reset motivation. Where are we now, really? Not the version we present, but the truth. Where are we heading next? And do we genuinely want to go there? And what will that direction ask of us in time, energy, health, and relationships? Strategy isn't just a business decision, it's a life decision. And when leaders reconnect with that, motivation starts to return because the effort makes sense again. And here's the part that often surprises most of us. When you finally create that space, progress doesn't come from big plans or clever ideas. Because one thing I've noticed again and again, and it came up very recently in a client session, is that progress doesn't usually come from doing something clever. It comes from doing the basics properly. In our conversation, we didn't solve everything. We didn't redesign the organization. What we did was slow things down. Name what's actually going on. And we broke things into smaller, clearer steps. And that changed everything. Because when leaders are under pressure, everything starts to feel tangled. Roles blur, priorities drift. People default to what's comfortable rather than what matters. What restores momentum isn't a big reset. It's clarity. Clear expectations, clear priorities, clear ownership. Breaking big, overwhelming challenges into smaller, visible steps does two things. It reduces the mental load and it gives people something they can actually move towards. That's often where motivation starts to come back, not through inspiration, but through relief. And once things start to feel clearer, you can also be honest about the pressure that's been sitting there all along. People are different. They bring different strengths, different ways of thinking, different sources of energy. When work fits who someone is, things flow. Decisions improve, commitment deepens. But let's be honest, this is a high-pressure environment. Mistakes can be costly, and often what does the real damage isn't the mistake. It's frustration, poor attitude, or pressure that has nowhere to go. When there's no space to challenge or reflect, pressure leaks out sideways. You see it in meetings, you hear it in tone, you feel it in behavior. But clear leadership creates space early, before pressure turns into disengagement or conflict, which is exactly why the way we think about strategy now really matters. So let's talk about strategy. Strategy isn't about scaling faster, you could argue. It's not about doing more, and it's definitely not about squeezing more out of already stretched people. In 2026, good strategy will feel calmer than that. If there's one word I'd put at the heart of leadership this year, it's this: experimentation. Not chaos, not knee-jerk change, small tests, clear learning, adjusting as you go. That approach does two things. It moves a business forward and it gives people permission to re-engage. Innovation doesn't come from pressure. It comes from curiosity, trust, and space. And when you put all of that together, the way you move into the year ahead changes. So before you push forward this year, pause. Not to retreat, but to reconnect. Create space to think properly again. Get honest about where you are. Get clear about where you're heading. Because when leaders regain clarity, the energy comes back. Motivation returns, judgment sharpens, momentum becomes sustainable. And then you move. Not louder, not faster, but with intent. 2026 doesn't need more exhausted leaders pushing uphill. It needs leaders who are clear, steady, and purposeful, and who bring their people with them. If that's the kind of year you want to lead into, this is where it starts. So I'll leave you with this. As you step into the new year, where do you need to pause so you can lead properly again? Thank you so much for listening to this edition of Beyond Leading, the podcast that cuts through the noise to get real about leadership, team dynamics, personal growth, and the messy brilliant reality of work, life, and everything in between. Don't forget to sign up for your episode fact sheet at beyond-leading.captivate.fm. You'll also find the link in the show notes, and we'll email it straight to you. If today's conversation sparked something for you, please subscribe on your favourite podcast platform and share this episode with a colleague or friend. Please join us again for more conversations that challenge the status quo, spark real growth, and help you lead beyond the title and everything in between. And if you'd like to support the podcast, we'd love it if you left us a quick review on your podcast provider or on Podchaser. It really helps others find the show.